Consumers became truly aware of the concept of home diagnostic kits when pregnancy tests were placed on the shelves of drugstores. The product immediately caught the eye of the female consumer. She was now able to discover a private condition in the privacy of her home. The number of kits available soon doubled, as well as the number of users. However, some would-be testers held out, afraid that the kits were inaccurate and unsafe.
I don't think there's an actual need for it. I think there's no harm in having it on the market because it is not an invasive test. It is simply a test that's run on a urine specimen that's produced by a patient. So it's causing the patient no harm, and it's giving them some information. They can probably, for the same amount of money, have the pregnancy test ran in the doctor's office and have a much more sensitive test, have it turn positive much earlier in the pregnancy, and get the answer they want earlier.
You can't beat the price and effectiveness of the blood sugar test, now available for diabetics. Many doctors are asking patients with this disease to test themselves at home 1 to 4 times a day. It saves the physician time and questions when health problems arise.
And there are some home medical tests now available that are highly accurate and highly useful. Not only do they give information that the doctor may need when the patient is away from the doctor's office and talking on the phone, but they involve the patient in their own care.
Overall, home medical kits are effective as long as you follow the directions carefully and work together with your physician. Remember, the do-it-yourself kits are a tool to help your doctor, not replace him. Sherry Sellers, Action 4.
Very difficult to keep up with, and consequently adjustments would occur. But generally, we're running.
There are certain basic responsibilities of the Human Services Department that are given to us by the Constitution and by the statute, and they should have priority in budget considerations over many things that we do which are really not a part of our basic responsibilities.
Just a few months ago, people couldn't get their money out of Penn Square Bank fast enough. Now a group of 15 investors has gotten a chance to try to attract depositors back to a new bank at the same location. The group of 15 is headed by Oklahoma City businessman Stanley Lee. 3 months ago, Lee's group submitted a proposal to the FDIC Board of Directors. They would purchase the remaining fixed assets of the bank for $2.5 million. Today, Judge Luther Eubanks ruled that the FDIC had a rational basis for accepting the Lee group offer.
But the Lee Group offer wasn't the only offer before the court. Western Trust and Savings Company offered almost $500,000 more.
Unlike the Lee Group offer, the Western Trust offer was contingent on several factors. That worried the FDIC.
The other offer had some serious contingencies that we were concerned with. The 1,000-foot banking rule for a motor bank was a very serious question. The question of insuring trust deposits was a very serious question. So we just couldn't predict with any certainty at all whether or not the other offer would finally obtain.
4 banks, Nichols Hills, Founders, Commerce, and Lakeshore, asked Judge Eubanks for a continuance. The banks argued they hadn't had time to make an offer, but the FDIC won on that issue as well.
You would have had to have been under a rock not to know that this is going on. And certainly the group who did make the offer wasn't too shy. And they came in with an offer, as did a second party. So anybody in town that says they didn't have an adequate opportunity to inspect the records at the county courthouse and talk to the parties involved, I just don't think we're trying very hard.
The FDIC had another reason for liking the Lee offer. It allows the FDIC to rent space in the main Penn Square Bank building for 1 year while they continue to wind up the affairs of Penn Square. Now the Lee Group is taking the last steps toward trying to bring these depositors back to Penn Square Mall. They've contacted the controller of the currency asking for their bank charter to be issued. The goal is to have the Mercantile National Bank open for business in January 1983. Bill Ross, Action 4.
be a $15,000 first prize. Skipper Boss. Oh, now you talk about reverses. You watch this guy. He has some, see him turn in front of that bull? Reverse and change his position. Look at him, stand him off. Look right at him. Challenge him to come on. Ooh, and Skipper should square off at him. What? Rob's going, he's going, he's going. He did it up over the top. All right, Rob Spencer. Take my hat and get it up there. There's the whistle. 3 points to his credit. We call it the bumblebee. You look at the way he's dressed, you can understand that. That's his symbol. Here's a guy that probably has as much individual exhilaration as any man in the field of 6. He is a very, very talented athlete, a very strong man.
Hi, boy.
How are you, Mr. Adair? You have anything to say about this morning?
No, on advice of counsel, I'm not supposed to say anything. Just wait and see. This isn't.
It has taken federal prosecutors 3 years to bring an indictment against Oklahoma County Commissioner Ralph Adair. Adair says he has been harassed and he will be glad to get things out in the open. The 74-year-old commissioner is charged with 10 counts of mail fraud, 4 counts each of extortion and tax evasion, and 1 count of perjury stemming from the Oak Scam investigation. Adair pleaded innocent to all the charges at his federal court arraignment this morning. The magistrate set a $5,000 bond and a trial date of January 10th.
Well, just of course the court set a date for filing of motions as of the 20th of December and a trial date for the 10th of January. We may want to try to adjust those dates a little bit. The government's been working on this case for about 3 years, and we think we maybe need a little more time than that. But we do anticipate that we'll be ready, and we think Mr. Adair has indicated he's been looking forward to getting this over with and getting his chance to put his evidence on, and so we'll try to get ready as quickly as we can to go forward with the trial.
Coates hopes the 3-year time to bring an indictment means the prosecution's case is weak. If it isn't, and Adair is convicted, he could face as much as 147 years in prison and fines up to $80,000. Charles Schnitzer, Action 4 at the federal courthouse.
This is a working oil well. It has become an uncommon sight in Oklahoma lately. Since last year, the number of working rigs has dropped from over 1,000 to just 360. That in itself has already forced many small outfits to go broke, and a few of the larger ones are worried.
Speaking of just drilling contractors, the ones that have all new rigs, they're going to have a very difficult time because when the competition's so great that that you're not making any money off the deals that you're drilling.
Along with the decrease in well activity has come an increase in unemployment. These workers are a few of the lucky ones. Many of the roughnecks who are accustomed to finding work almost anywhere in the state are now faced with the prospect of standing in the unemployment line.
Oh, there's probably 7, 8 a day anyhow coming around looking for it. Some experienced, some not. You know, just people out of work need to go to work.
So for now, wells like this one are few and far between. And according to the experts, it could take 1.5 to 2 years to get this industry back on the right track. Kevin Ogle, Action 4.
His full name's Tyler Earl Melvin. He's about 25 years old, Negro male. He's about 5'10", 165, 170 pounds. He's really would look to be sort of slender, but his muscles would be developed fairly well on his arms.
Would you consider him dangerous?
If somebody tried to arrest him at this time, yes.
Oklahoma City's Northwest National Bank was in the midst of a noon business rush when a bandit burst in. The tall, thin, masked gunman brandished a pistol at the frightened bank employees. That pistol can be seen in the lower left of this picture taken by a bank surveillance camera.
And he was dressed in a poncho with a hood, had a ski mask, and carrying an umbrella that was opened. And he waved a gun around, made the announcement that this was a robbery, told everybody to lie down on the floor. There were a number of customers in the bank in addition to the several employees. And of course they complied, and he proceeded to rob 3 of the teller windows and exited back out this door.
The robber made his getaway in a late model gray Grand Prix. A few minutes later, a Shepherd Mall security guard spotted a vehicle matching the getaway car's description. The car's license plate had been switched. Police theorize another man may have been waiting for the gunman in the getaway car. The robbery suspect has been described as a 30 to 35-year-old white male, about 6'1" and 175 pounds. Authorities say they're pursuing leads discovered at the crime scene. Scott Wallace, Action 4, Northwest Oklahoma City.
Yeah, okay. Are they still cold?
Monday, November 15th, at 6308 Northwest 83rd. At approximately 1:30 p.m., an unknown man knocked at the door of this house asking about an ad in the newspaper.
Hi, I'm the one that called you about your ad in the newspaper.
Yes, come on in, please.
Thank you. Well, what you had in the newspaper sounded just what I was looking for. I'm really anxious to see it.
It's right back here. Would you like to come see it?
Back room back there, sure.
He looked around the house to make sure the woman was alone.
We've had it for about 3 years, and it works pretty good most
He
of the
then
time.
pulled out a .38 caliber stub-nose revolver
I tell you, and you won't get hurt.
and forced the frightened victim into the bedroom.
Take what
Just
you want.
shut
but
up.
Don't hurt me.
Just shut up.
Don't.
There.
After making the woman lay down on the bed, he tied her hands with a piece of clothing. The intruder then searched through the house, stealing money and jewels. With the victim still tied up, the robber quickly left the house. This is a composite drawing of the robber. He is described as a white male, 30 to 35 years old, 5 feet 8 inches tall, weighing about 160 pounds. He has dark brown, neatly trimmed hair, a dark mustache, and dark eyes. He was last seen driving a 1975 to 1977 two-door Ford Granada or two-door Mercury Cougar, dark brown in color. I'm Officer Bill Hanneman. This is the 5th armed robbery committed by this man in the last several weeks. In each of these robberies, the suspect was answering an ad placed in the newspaper by the victim. In one of these robberies, the victim was sexually assaulted. Crimestoppers would like to apprehend this suspect before he has a chance to commit any more robberies. If you have any information about the man shown in this picture, call Crimestoppers. If your information leads to the arrest of the suspect, you could earn a reward of up to $1,000, and all callers will remain anonymous. The number to call is 235-7300.
Firemen know this fire started in the roof somewhere, but they don't know how it started or how long it had been burning. The building housed the Christian Service Center, which apparently contained a school and a Goodwill-type clothing store. They were both gutted. The fire was very intense and hard to cool down. Firemen fought it for nearly an hour before the flames died down. As work continued to extinguish the blaze, it became clear more manpower would be needed to relieve those men who had arrived first on the scene. By the time the third alarm had been called in, the fire was under control, but it had not been an easy job.
Many minutes passed while they were trying to physically gain access to the area where the fire was in some various ceiling configurations and some sealed off ceilings, and they had fire in areas that they couldn't physically get to.
The usual after-fire investigation will begin when everything cools down. In the meantime, firemen can smile about one thing. This blaze was only a block away from the main fire station. Tony Stizza, Action 4, downtown.
So they ended up, many of them, getting a 0% pay raise. They were supposed to get a 5%, and so that for the rest of their career with the state, these merit raises were illegal. And according to the state personnel rules and the law statutes of governing state employees, the only way that money can be taken away from employees is either if they're suspended, demoted, terminated, or if a RIF comes along, a reduction in force. None of those actions happened. So our court suit, a class action lawsuit on behalf of these employees, is geared towards trying to get them their merit raises and their lost pay reinstated back to 1 July of 1982.
Central Airlines served 42 cities in America's heartland before becoming Frontier Airlines. Central was the brainchild of Oklahoma City writer Keith Cale. Even before Central got off the ground, Mary Hazlip was setting airplane world speed records. Mrs. Hazlip learned how to fly in Oklahoma during the 1920s. Jimmy Hazlip, her husband, taught Mary how to fly. He also gained fame as a world-class racer. Retired Air Force General Jess Larson rose up through the ranks after joining the Oklahoma National Guard shortly after World War I. The exploits of these colorful characters adorn the walls of the Oklahoma Airspace Museum. The photographs of these pioneers have faded, but their memories of the early days of Oklahoma aviation are still fresh.
We were sort of an odd species because bankers thought we were irresponsible. Insurance companies wouldn't insure us, and people in the established professions tolerated us, but we were just a bunch of ex-war pilots, some of us older ones, and as long as we behaved ourselves and didn't kill anybody, why, we were allowed to be around and treated like other people.
Counting tonight's 8 inductees, there are now 25 people enshrined in Oklahoma's Aviation and Space Hall of Fame. Scott Wallace, Action 4.
baby.
Can I get each?
The philosophy that we have is that we like to give what we have away to others, and the people that are involved in this are alumni of the Care Unit treatment program, and are grateful to have their sobriety and grateful to be able to step out and speak and help and do something constructive, you know, to help maybe avoid an accident or an unnecessary death.
Parking lots at local liquor stores are always crowded during the month of December. But this year, the number of cars has doubled. Parking attendants are being used to direct the traffic coming and going at the stores. Inside, the congestion gets worse. All types of people are buying all kinds of cheer to spread throughout the Christmas holiday. They're not buying the odd bottle. Bottles, cases, and stacks of cases are being bought for parties. This means big money for Oklahoma City's liquor stores. Here at Byron's on 23rd Street, they expect to make $1.5 million this month.
Yesterday, we did $90,000 retail, and we bought probably $80,000 to replenish that. And we will sell more than that today and tomorrow.
There are two reasons for the increase in buying this year. One, there's a better selection. Products like this are now available. And two, it's a fact. When the economy's down, people drink more. Sherry Sellers, Action 4 at Byron's Liquor Store.
No trouble getting reservations. Got them from a travel agent in Ada. And we're going out to see my daughter and 2 grandchildren.
Where?
Seattle.
No problem with the airlines, but travel agent has canceled my flight unbeknownst to me, and I'm trying to get out of here on the 24th of December to go spend Christmas with my family, and I better get out of this airport.
go right ahead with the other one.
Okay, go right ahead.
I was not surprised by the number of bad heaters because we have been involved in the boiler and pressure vessel business for a long time, and we know what ignorance can produce. So I wasn't surprised so much. I was alarmed. You find one bad hot water heater, you're alarmed, naturally. But surprised, no.
Willie Wadley is sweeping up a ghost, the ghost of prosperity. The prosperity that used to be symbolized by a thriving Kingsberry Homes plant in Holdenville. In the 1970s, more than 200 workers built panel homes here. Kingsberry made a profit every year. Then the market changed. Everything collapsed. And now there's nothing. Absolutely nothing. The plant manager is finishing up the last bit of paperwork before he locks the doors a final time.
And the people that have survived the business now have pulled in, got leaner, got tighter, buy materials better, do a better job, run their business better. The whole United States is that way today. They're just fat. We worry about bureaucracies in the government and all those kind of places. The fact is, private business has its own bureaucracy. One of the amazing things about the workforce here is that 20 to 4, the last day, the last house going down the line, people were out there just sweeping and working fast. They couldn't get their work done, and it was like they were going to come back tomorrow. Incredible group of people.
The closing of the Kingsberry home plant is indicative to what's happening to Holdenville. In fact, to what's happening to all of Hughes County. Unemployment is sky high. 900 claims are filed in the state employment office in Hughes County every week. That's an amazing number, since there are only 15,000 people in the county.
We've had lots of jobs in the past. They're pretty few right now. No one feels real good when they're out of a job.
Certainly no one feels real good at the Kingsberry Homes plant. There used to be a long row of finished homes here. Now there's only one left. The cover protects it from the Oklahoma winter. The question is, what's going to protect the people who built it? Bill Ross, Action 4 in Holdenville.